cars making their way out onto track right now for the first of our Group S races, which there'll be 3 of across the weekend. And here we go. Germany, USA, right across the world, all the finest sports cars you could ever want, and they are making their way out on track.
Oh, Darren, I don't know how good I'm going to be on this call because that Di Tommaso is just going to distract me the whole way around. It's in the gorgeous original fly yellow that the Pantera came out in. Ross Jackson at the helm there. His son Chris has driven that car. Has been known to drive the car on occasion, but Ross was climbing the walls at Winton Festival of Speed because it had been going through a bit of a rebuild after a wee bit of a close conversation with the wall, and so he's got it back on track. It is looking stunning, and when I spoke to him before in the pits, I said, "How are you going, Ross? Is it nice to be back out on track?" And he goes, "I can't use my horsepower. It's way too wet." Even though that thing has tyres the width of most small cars, he still can't put the pedal to the floor this weekend at all unless the track dries up at some point.
There's the Joe Collegia Apex Steel number 44 Corvette. It looks magic out there on track as well. Really looking forward to seeing him enjoy himself after having an engine issue. And by that, it wasn't in working condition after the Friday at the Winton Festival Speed. So really looking forward to seeing a guy that contributes so much to our sport having a bit of a run this weekend.
Absolutely. And to reiterate again Darren's point from before, yes, it is raining and it is wet down here, but the benefit of Sandown is we've got this massive grandstand that you can come and watch the races from, and you'll be under shelter. And I really do recommend you guys come down and have a look. And I'm completely biased, but Group S, if you walk through the Group S garages, you are going to see some gorgeous cars that should never be museum pieces. They should be out as long as they can be. And that Corvette of Joe Collegia's is just up close and personal, a stunning, stunning car.
Let's have a look at how this grid comes around. It will be on pole position, James Calvert-Jones with a 139 position, obviously done in the wet that time. Great to see the 2 Porsches lock out the front row. Great friend of the commentary booth, Alex Webster, as well in his Porsche out of position number 2. Joseph Di Bertoli in the number 2 car out on track there as well. That's the first of our Chevy Corvettes. Ross Jackson in the Pantera. Terry Lawler, Ray Narkowitz. Then we go back to Mark Johnson, Hung Du in the number 6 Datsun 240Z, and now that is going to be an interesting car in these conditions. It will be a good piece of kit to drive. Mark Johnson is next on the grids. Joe Collegia out of P10 in the 44 Corvette. Hugh Jackson in the number 79 Alfa Romeo, I think that is for Hugh, the GTV. And he will be just inside the top 10. 11th is Scott Farquharson. Tom Wallstab in the number 3 Porsche 928 4.5 litre. That will be an absolute weapon around here, and Tom drives that brilliantly. Richard East back to John Floyd. John Geist, who we saw in the first race of today in the number 61 Datsun 2000. So some of these cars finding their way up through the field as we see Chris Ralph also in there. He's had a good look around. So watch for some of these smaller cars. John DiColo, David Baden's already done 6 laps as well in the first race of the day. Peter Sagletti, Tim Linus, and we go back to Chris Blandon, Patrick Townsend, Rowan Hodge, Phil Powell and Samuel Markovitz there as well. We've got a couple of gaps in the grid there. Phil, not quite picking up on what grid position it was.
No, it wasn't either. I just noticed it looked as if one of those cars may actually be a little bit in front of his grid position.
This is going to be a ripper race. These conditions will suit these Euro cars. Watch the Porsches with their transfer of weight to the back. The big pendulum effect takes off and away they go. Everybody just walks themselves nicely off the grid as we just have a bit of a look at Ray Narkowitz. He gets a very tricky one off the line there.
Oh, who squeezed that little MG in there?
There was an MG that was squeezed up against the fence post like Vegemite, but managed to get through there quite rapid off the start line as the Porsches just clear out down into turn 1, followed by everybody else as we watch on our screen here. We've got MGs, Datsun 2000, Datsun 240Zs, Corvettes. We've got the whole shooting match out there, and a beautiful little Alpha.
There's plenty of Alphas out there as well. James Calvert-Jones gets away very nicely, but totally monstered into turn 1 by Alex Webster. He just tickled it up through the gearbox in his Porsche and drove down to turn 1, grabbed himself a very, very handy lead early on in this one. There goes Tim Linus in the 928 there as well, just starting out of position number 20. So a great field of cars here as they all stream their way up through turn 5, the top of the hill. There goes Darkwitz in the Corvette. And, of course, Ross Jackson tips it in the very bright yellow. Gee, I tell you what, in these dark skies, the yellow really jumps out at you, doesn't it?
It does, and you just about need something to jump out at you on this track because it's going to be a bit difficult to see, particularly down the fast parts of the straights with the spray coming off the vehicles in front.
Well, it was a bit reminiscent then of the generation of the cars coming down the back straight there. It was a little bit Le Mans-ish in the rain, which I really liked. But that seeing these guys come through the apex of turn 2 there, Darren, there's a little mini Lake Eildon there that they're going to have to avoid, which is a bit nasty. There's a lot of standing water there at turn 2.
Certainly is, and well, we have a little mini Lake Eildon right in the middle of the property here at the Lake Sandown here this weekend. Very nicely topped up indeed. One of the things you touched on, Em, that I really do like about Group S racing, particularly with these flat 6 Porsches and the V8s in behind them, is it is very much a Le Mans soundtrack. The drone of the flat 6 and then the V8s chasing them down. The flat 6 Porsche was, the class battle for so many years has been between flat 6 Porsches, and at the moment Alex Webster has got his magnificent Porsche just absolutely hooked up, and he is driving that Carrera 2.7 brilliantly. But I tell you what, the guy that was on pole, and he was on pole by just under 2 seconds, so he's fast in the wet. He's starting to climb back onto the back of Alex. Alex was the clever one. He just walked the car off the line.
Absolutely, Darren. And honestly, Alex's car is such a beautiful example of the 2.7. It's such a beautiful Porsche, and they're so suited to this weather and these conditions. Even the older Porsches, the cold air they'll be loving going through the intakes, and the displacement on them and the way these cars handle is just perfect for the wet too. So love to see these guys. They'll probably be able to go a little bit harder than the other guys that are straight line power and high horsepower. But just love seeing the whole category out there.
Ooh, gee, that got loose on that little bit of water across the track there. One of the things I'm just watching Alex on here at the moment is he is absolutely not afraid of driving onto the ripple strips as well, and that's almost a no-no in wet conditions. But he just, on the run down to Dandenong Road, just went across the ripple strip, guided it well, pointed it at it. No, there was none of this soaring away at the wheel. He just pointed it at the corner and rode the ripple strips. Let's see as they come down to turn 1. This is a very tricky braking zone in the wet.
Now Webster comes right out to the edge of the track there to maximise the straight line effect of getting through that corner. Didn't really pay out for him through the corner because Jones just caught right up on him coming through there, and he didn't take the narrow line. So has he got a better set of brakes under that car?
Talking about the water, there's a lot of standing water down there at turn 2, and these two Porsches just ease the way through. It's always the clever way. Keep the steering wheel straight as you possibly can. Stay in the loud pedal for as long as you can, but just be prepared to catch it if it sneaks out from you. Last time around 0.9 of a second between these two Porsches. Then we go back to Bartolo there as well. Joseph Bartolo in car number 2, which is the first of the Chevy Corvettes, 5.7 litres. So imagine that juggling act that's going on in there between throttle and steering wheel as we get a good look now, and this will be the same juggling act going on with this crowd here as well. That's Ray Narkwitz.
Yeah, the amount of power in those Chevys, you'd be really ginger on the accelerator pedal. It would be... I think I'd want an accelerator pedal with about 3 foot of movement from full on to full off. But I was just taking a note there on the timing screen. Jones has actually got the fastest lap time there, not by a great deal, but 1 minute 41. No, Webster took it, and then Jones took it straight back. So consistently, Jones is just that little bit quicker on his lap times.
I'm kind of just silently wishing these guys had fluoro gloves on so we could see what was going on the steering wheel at the moment.
Yeah, we need in-car footage, don't we?
Yeah. No, Alex and James are completely just owning this race with those two Porsches up front. I love seeing this. I mean, completely biased, Darren and Phil, but just love seeing it, and I love seeing them go for it in the wet too. Look at that.
Yeah, we hadn't noticed your bias at all, Em.
And I tell you what, though, these guys are rewarding that at the moment. The drivers of car 7 and 40, Webster and Jones, are just getting a class above. They obviously sat on the front row of the grid, and in any wet conditions like this, if you've got the car out in front in the clear air, you're at a distinct advantage. As we see the Philip Powell 308 coming down the road, just getting through on some of the slower cars there. Looked like an Austin Healey just being disposed with by Alex up the straight. That's the best way to get rid of some of these lap cars. I'm not too sure who was in the Healey, but that would be Pat Townsend out there, and Pete Sagletti in the Ferrari 308 GT4. And boy, that's a synonymous shape with Ferrari out of that era, isn't it?
Yeah, the beautiful car, and good. Oh, here we go. 58 has decided to see if he can drive backwards up the track.
So that's Chris Ralph. He came second in the Tourist Trophy not 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Or sorry, 45 minutes ago. He's getting confident. He's found a little bit of edge, got up on that painted ripple strip.
Yeah, he's got to be careful here because he's a bit unseen as he's trying to get the car around and clear the track. Manages to get himself out of way and back underway where green flags are going down there. So that's an exciting little manoeuvre for him there.
I tell you what, this traffic has been used very nicely by Alex in the number 7 car. The James Calvert-Jones car has certainly been the fastest car on track, and it's just that I've said it 3 times now. It's just that Alex walked the car off the line and managed to get himself a 2-second gap by turn 4. And James is managing to chip away at it by doing the faster laps, but wow, it's a tough gig to try and get past in this sort of weather, and Alex caught the first of those back markers in a straight line, so that's always very handy.
So both Alex and James are both using the inside of turn 3 as a little bit of a guard wash.
Yep.
And they're both chewing up the chicanes as well, the ripple strips, I should say. So, I mean, that's a Porsche thing. I mean, most people that drive Porsches will be using those ripple strips. They've got no problem getting it onto 2 wheels. It'll hunker right down, slaps the kidneys around a little bit, but you know, it's just these guys are just used to doing that kind of style driving, and it's working whether it's dry or wet.
How lucky is Alex Webster? He races Porsches on weekends and then works with them during the week.
Yeah, I'm slightly jealous of the guy, to be honest. He's always got a brand new car.
Life doesn't just happen like that. You've got to work hard for that, and Alex embodies that work ethic. So let's have a bit of a look back down through the field, and here we go. Here is the cars that are currently just inside the top 20. That's Blandon and Tim Linus in the 928, and our race leaders are now starting to catch up onto those guys as well, with only just under 2 minutes remaining in this one.
Here we go. 50.
The Equity 1 replay, and Chris Ralph provides
the
drive backwards. So that's Chris Ralph. He came second. Decision right there to go around that way, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It's always a worry when you've got someone that's rotating in front of you. Where do I go? And when they're rolling backwards, it's...
And to be honest, on screen, that didn't look like a highly risky incident, but on-screen racing is always a hell of a lot slower looking on TV. So that would have been a new Jocks moment for both of the guys in the Alphas.
Yeah, there's a point there where excitement overtakes something else.
Get a good look at John Del Callo there as well in the 56 Datsun 240Z. So I mentioned at the start the Euros and the North American cars, but certainly some of the Japanese cars have done very well. As I mentioned, Hung Du, he qualified in car number 6 in position number 8, and that's a 240Z Datsun, and that was car 6. We're getting just a bit of a look back through the field now because our leaders are starting to charge on through. Those trees moving around like that, that's artificial, that's AI. The trees, it's actually sun out there at the moment. You've got to be careful, kids. This AI will bring you unstuck.
Yeah, right, Darren.
Checkered flag has just been waved and it's been dropped a tad early, but I tell you what, Alex Webster will have greeted that with a smile on his face. James Calvert-Jones, maybe not so much, because again, he was just ticking the boxes. So the first 5 laps of this race, James Calvert-Jones was the fastest car on track, so he was only improving. And I've got to say that at the moment, the spray from the cars has diminished quite a bit, so we have not actually got rain falling right now.
Try and tell that to the drivers out there, Darren. I think they reckon it's just the same.
James Bartello comes home in position number 3 there, so that is our podium. Alex Webster and James Calvert-Jones. I got to say, Alex won that in the first 200 metres of that race. He just got a brilliant start, drove away nicely. James Calvert-Jones was certainly the fastest car on tracks. James Bartello, Ross Jackson home in position number 4. He is. Joe Collegia, good drive there by Joe. Started out at 10th, and he has muscled that behemoth. Car number 44 home into position number 5. That probably wouldn't have been a bet I would have taken, Phil.
No, me either. He's a very good car, and he's a very good driver, but boy, in these conditions, that's a tough package to drive.
Terry Lawler in the Shelby American GT 350. Don't call it a Mustang. It is a Shelby GT 350. I've been warned about that one, so that's a good drive home into 6th. Then it's Johnson, the 79, Hugh Harrison, who started out at 9th, finishes in 8th. Hung Du's gone back one spot in his Datsun. Ray Narkowitz is the next of the Corvettes home. Then it's in the Stingray style of Corvette. Then it's Geist, John Geist, who did very well in the Tourist Trophy earlier on today. Floyd and Farquharson rounding out that top 15 cars for the Group S's on track now. Awesome. Thanks, Braxy. Great to catch up with some of those stories from Winton at the Festival of Speed. And, of course, the Festival of Speed is going to be absolutely massive in August. Keep your eyes peeled across the motorsport media, and in particular the VHRR social media outlets there as well, via Facebook and different avenues through the media. Great to have the Winton Festival of Speed just growing in stature. A huge event this year at Winton, and of course next year the Classic 100, the Penrite Classic 100 will be the Phillip Island Classic. Also keep an eye on your media outlets for that. March 13, 14 and 15, Margaret Diamond from Penrite will be the event patron, celebrating the 100th anniversary of Penrite. It'll be a big year for that company, and not many companies can point at the calendar, in fact point at 100 years of calendars and celebrate their success in business. So
that's right.
Congratulations to Penrite. We get more underway with the Equity One VHRR 2025 Historic Sandown, and these Group S cars yesterday were an absolute thrill. I'm going to suggest with a fully dry track, this is going to be so much fun. Em, you've got the grid sheet, and cars are on their way, aren't they?
Yeah, this is likely to be a bananas round, and I can't wait for it. Darren, we've got Alex Webster in pole today. He did an amazing job on those tyres he's trialling, some new secret race tyres, so they did him well in the wet. Let's see how they go in the semi-dry. Followed very closely by James Calvert-Jones. Alex just got the jump on him yesterday, but I think this is going to be a battle to watch, absolutely. Joseph Di Bartolo in 3rd, Ross Jackson in 4th in that gorgeous fly yellow Di Tommaso. Oh my God, there it is on screen. Geez, that's such a lovely thing to see on track. Then we've got Joe Collegia in his gorgeous Corvette, and then we've got Terry Lawler in 6th, Mark Johnson in 7th, Hugh Harrison in 8th, Hung Do in 9th, Ray Narkowitz in 10th, John Geist 11th, John Floyd in 12th, Scott Farquharson in 13th, followed by David Bajan on 14th, John Del Colo, Christopher Bladen, Tim Linus in 17th, Peter Salietti in 18th, Christopher Ralph 19th, Rowan Hodges in 20th, Philip Powell in 21st, Patrick Townsend in 22nd place, Richard East in 23rd, Tom Allstab in 24th. Now, he had a little bit of problem, a little bit of drama yesterday, so he didn't finish the way he wanted to. Took the car back to the workshop last night, hopefully all good today. And rounding out the field with 25 cars on track is Sam Narkowitz. I tell you what, Tom Wallstab has got a bit of work to do, but he's got the right rig underneath him, the 928 with the V8 Porsche engine in front of him. It'll hunt up the hill here at Sandown. Will be all about that home of horsepower and bringing the Thunder, or the return of the Thunder, as the Victorian Historic Racing Register promised us in the lead up to this weekend. And I tell you what, they've returned
returned on that investment, that is for sure. And this is one of the categories that give it every way. 2 flat sixes on the front row of the grid. James Calvert-Jones really experienced in the wet conditions. Couldn't quite beat Alex, and it's because he got a ripping start yesterday, and Alex has done it all over again this morning. He's just got that fantastic clutch take up, and he's driven right down the middle of the track. Have a look at the Shelby GT 350 charge up the outside. That is a massive run. Terry Lawler coming charging on through there, and that was a huge start.
Jeez, James's line there. My goodness, how aggressive have these guys started out, and the rumble from that Di Tommaso on the start. Oh my God. Hopefully he can make the best use of all 500 horses he's got.
Yeah, he's got to get the power down coming out of here. He's got another car, a big block in front of him. That one there of Joe Collegia, the man from Apex Steel, and he is using it absolutely magnificently. Have a look at this up the back. They are running hard for it. This is the Joseph Di Bartoli Corvette, nothing short of cubic inches, and Terry Lawler. Have a look at that, the 7 and the 8 right beside each other. It's not a 6 and a 7 for the kids watching out there. It's a 7 and an 8. And they're charging down at Dandenong Road.
The raw power of that Blue Beast, my goodness. Just absolutely taking it to the Porsche on the back straight there. Phenomenal racing. Thank God it's dry today.
Yeah, it is. It's giving us that very, very cool look at what these different cars can do. The one thing that we do know is that at the end of this...
Oh, no.
One of the cars off down there.
Dear.
Oh, it gets back on beautifully.
Thank goodness.
That was very, very well done. Nicely done. That was Ray Narkwitz, I think it was.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Ray Narkwitz getting away there. Joseph Bartoli and that Shelby GT 350. Don't call it a Mustang. You only get one opportunity to do that, and you are absolutely torn to shreds. Do not do that. But have a look at this Corvette of Joe Collegia. Just wiggling its way through turns 2 and 3. Really enjoying. Yesterday when I spoke to Joe, he actually really enjoyed having this car in the wet. He said it's an absolute pleasure to drive.
I had a similar conversation with him, Darren. It's he is absolutely having a ball here this weekend with the 2 cars. So good to see him out there and in this conditions at the moment.
Oh dear.
We have a bit of an incident down here.
David Bagent, that's a shame. David's done many laps yesterday. And they have arrived with each other, and a fellow MG, there's an Alpha actually there, I'm not sure what car it is, number 15 maybe.
I think so.
Yeah, that's Chris Blandon. Yeah, that's a shame. He's David Bagent's just collecting his thoughts there. And, gee, I hope they haven't had a coming together. It looks like they might have, and we've got a safety car. That absolutely makes sense where those guys are. It's on the final turn coming onto the straight. In fact, they've sort of straddled the pit entry road there. So we go safety car for the first time yesterday, the first time on dry track this weekend. We managed to do an entire day of racing yesterday without any safety car in torrential rain. I guess everybody's going, right, some dry track, let's go fast. Let's straight back out there. Why not?
Yep.
Why not too?
Yeah.
Why not too? Let's have a quick look down. We've got 2 competition laps completed before the safety car came out. What a great start from the second row of the grid for Joe Di Bartolo in his Corvette. And when he crossed the line, he grabbed himself 2.7 second lead over Terry Lawler in the GT. And we've got services just arriving down at this incident. David Bagent in the number 64, moving around in his car, just chatting with his fellow competitor, which we think is Chris Blandon. Can't quite get that shot, but I think we might have a replay coming up from that incident down with the Corvette. But we'll stand by for that as we just look at all of these magnificent cars. There's another car I'd like to have in the shed, Phil. That Austin Healey.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Aren't they? The 6-cylinder ones have got, there we go. All on his own too, and that would have grabbed Joe Collegia's attention, because it's a very similar type of car, and understeered off just in front, kept it off the wall, thank goodness.
Yeah, managed to go across the green accelerator and didn't hit the wall, so that was well done.
Darren, I'm just looking at the timing, and your prediction was bang on with Tom Wallstatt. He's come from 24th, and I think he's in 13th at the moment. He's made his way back to 13th in just 2 laps. That's a phenomenal effort.
Yeah, it's interesting taking David Bagent just back to the medical vehicle. He's under his own steam there, heading back to the medical vehicle, and they'll extricate him from the scene while they get that car packed up and removed back to the paddock there. Gee, that Shelby GT350, aren't we so fortunate that we've been able to display some of these cars, not just display them, race them. These things are quite a rarity on the international motoring scene, and it's just awesome. Terry often brings that car to the track, and let's not take anything away from Ross Jackson in that yellow Pantera.
No. Absolutely, Darren. But you know what else we've got to be thankful for? These marshals, they were out in that weather yesterday. They do an amazing job, and they're all volunteers. It's a phenomenal service that they offer for the racing community. Yesterday would have been no easy day for those guys outside all day. Driving rain literally all day and freezing cold temperatures, and they're still out there doing their flags the best they can, and they're out there still today. So thank you, guys. Thanks to all the marshals out there.
You know, it's interesting today, actually, the VHRR and a lot of the I'm going to say very experienced marshals that aren't doing trackside anymore. There's a bit of a function in one of the function rooms in the grandstand this afternoon for I'm going to say our very experienced officials that don't come to the track so much anymore, and fantastic that they're all getting together and you know, putting on a bit of a function. They can all have a yak together, remember the good old days, because they are always better in the old days than what they currently are. And it's timely that, you know, some of these older officials, experienced officials, do get a bit of an opportunity to come back at the track, and we can learn a lot from them. That is for sure.
Absolutely.
And having that function for them to go to will be terrific. Good pickup, Em, with Tom Wallstatt, because he's now line astern with Tim Linus. So that's two of those front-engine V8 Porsches, and he's just got the nose out. Tom Wallstatt's just having a bit of a look in some clean air and getting some nice cool air over those brakes.
They're getting their windows measured up. Like, where am I going to go when we're on the jump? Where am I going to head to? I can't wait for the restart of this one, because you've got James keeps showing his little bug eyes there too. Like, I'm here, Alex. Don't worry about me. I'll get you. And I think Ross is out for a little bit of a pony today, so it's going to be a great restart if we can get there.
Yeah, Ross is circling like a shark, isn't he?
Yeah, he certainly is.
He got the pointed nose. Oh, we've gone red flag. Oh. There's a bit of a, there he goes, like a shark on cue down through the water. We've gone to a red flag on this one, so obviously there's only 3 minutes left in the race anyway, but red flag has been displayed. 2 competitive laps. I guess we can draw a conclusion from that, but it certainly sets up this afternoon's race for Group S.
You know what that means? Race 3 is going to be on.
Well, and the interesting thing is we've swapped for 2 Porsches on the front row for a Corvette and a Shelby GT 350. So
best mixed bag of
is that the car
ever.
you call a Mustang?
I'm not calling it a Mustang ever again. Ever. But it certainly sets up a front row of the grid. Let's have a quick look down through the timesheet. So Bartolo to Lawler, we see them coming up the back straight. There's Alex Webster. Joe Collegia, that's, even though he had a couple of laps of racing, he made up a place. The interesting one is James Calvert-Jones, who started out at P2 and will finish this one basically because we're under safety car, back down in position number 5. Then it's Narkowitz and Jackson, Hugh Harrison in the Alfred, Johnson, Floyd, and that rounds out our top 10 as we go to a replay. Let's have a look. I think I said the shark was circling, and right on cue, Ross has got the radio on and listening to the commentary. He gives us a shark moment.
There are car gods, and they're called replays. I love it.
I reckon we call that car Sharknado from now on. It's just a joke, Ross. We're not going to call it that. I apologise. So, yes, that has this race has been called, so red flags. The cars will return to the pits, and the race has been declared. Laps remaining, time remaining, none. So those cars won't be having a restart.
Yeah, while we've got a little bit of time between races, Darren, I did also want to thank, on top of the marshals, is the fireys and the medics that we have on track. It takes an absolute village to put a race weekend on, and those guys are here bright and early in the morning. They're here all day. And it's not an easy day. For the most part, if there's no drama, they're standing around on cold concrete and waiting for something to happen, which we never want to happen. But they're always here and they're always ready to go. So thank you, guys.
Cars just streaming back in through the S's and make their way in. There's Ross Jackson in a car that will never be called Sharknado, and I'll stand up in court and defend it from now on. But he brings it back into the paddock there. Harrison, Johnson, Floyd, Farquharson coming through there as well, and we get a good look at Tim Linus and. The Wallstab Porsches come through there. Gee, that's a synonymous livery with Porsches, isn't it? The Martini livery.
Certainly is.
A couple of Datsuns. Gee, they're cool to see as well. The Dakolo Hungdo, they're in there as well. So, sadly, they won't get to finish their entire distance of their race. They do. They come here to race, and all of a sudden they're not. Formula Fords will be on track next. We've got this recovery still going on. There certainly looks like a couple of more minutes left to go there. We'll take a quick break from commentary, and we'll be back very soon. A big thanks to Equity One, Shannon's, Penrite, Cool Drive, Aussie Saws, NPAVT, and all of the corporate partners here this weekend. Back in a moment. Welcome back trackside here at the 33rd running of Historic Sandown. A big thanks to Shannon's Insurance, Penrite Oils, Equity One, Cool Drive, Racer Industries, Dana Precision, Apex Steel, Traction Tyre, Centre Photography, as well as the MSCA, NPAVT, Aussie Saws, and Autohouse in Moorabbin for all of their automotive storage that they have going on there. There is a massive air of anticipation as the Group S cars, who had wet running all day yesterday, they had their race cut short this morning, and they are now on track, and I reckon these guys and girls are wanting to go the entire distance. In fact, there's that much air of anticipation. We're going to go 3 commentators up here so we don't miss a thing. Emma Dean and Phil Membry will stay on air. I'm Darren Smith. I'll join them in this Group S one. Em, you got the grid sheet there. Give us a rundown.
Yeah, we've got Joe Di Bartolo in that gorgeous blue 69 Corvette. He's on the front. He pipped Alex Webster in the last race real quick off the front line. So can't wait to see what he does. Then we've got Terry Lawler in position number 2. Alex, as I said, in 3rd. Joe Collegia in that gorgeous red Corvette in number 4. James Calvert-Jones, who will be breathing down Alex's neck, in position number 5. Ray Narkowitz in 6. Ross Jackson in that gorgeous Pantera in 7. Hugh Harrison in 8th. Mark Johnson 9th. John Floyd 10th. Scott Farquharson in 11th. Tim Linus in 12th position. Tom Wallstab, no slouch, came back from 23rd to 13th in the last race. Mind you, we had 3 laps in the last race, so that was a massive effort from Tom.
Yeah, a ripping effort, and we just seen the 2 928s just come streaming through the screen there with Tim Linus and Tom Wallstab. They'll be sort of adjacent to each other, if you like, and have a look at Alex Webster.
I love that.
He's getting serious with it. A bit of Fernando Alonso turning the Porsche in its own wheelbase.
I will get heat into these tyres.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
That's exactly right. Hung Du in the Datsun to John Geist, back to Chris Ralph again in this race here in his MG. Pete Richard East, and we go back to Sam Narkowitz, so watch for that Corvette out of position number 19. Pete Bagelli, then Philip Powell, Ron Hodges, Pat Townsend, David Bajan. I'm not sure David will front. He had a bit of a coming together in the MG race, and Christopher Blandon of rear of the grid. What a monster of a field this is. Absolutely racked and stacked with power and finery.
Do not take your eyes off the screen, ladies and gentlemen, because the approach to turn 1 is going to be epic. Those first 3, 4, actually 4, 5 positions on the grid are going to be going crazy for first position. That approach to turn.
Yeah, it'll be pretty wild off the front line, but the Pantera, they've got all the water out of it. He took it a bit of a drive through the big puddle in the earlier race.
He was trying to cool his tyres. And here we go, guys.
Away we go. They charge off the line there. Joseph De Bartoli, as you would expect in the Corvette, and Joe Collegia in the older Stingray as well. They get away very, very nicely indeed. I was just watching Hugh Harrison in the Alpha. He darted right over to the other side of the track, but it's Bartoli, and we're just watching in the background there. Tim Linus in the 928 leads Wallstab in the mid-pack there, but Alex Webster, he came off the second row of the grid, slots himself into P2. He does not want to see the number 2 of De Bartoli drive away from him, and he gets very, very onto it coming out of turn number 2. The 40 there of James Calvert-Jones, he's gone back a couple of spots, but these two 928s, they're working together. They're pushing their way through the field.
They are indeed, as they head off up the back straight past our stationary camera there. What a great shot that we've got. And the Stingray just launches.
Oh, you were watching the Stingray.
Joe.
I'm watching that Pantera.
And I'm watching the Corvette of Joe Collegia, so we're not going to miss the action.
There's too much to see.
Yeah, there is. It's a ripper there. That's Joe Collegia. He tips it through, the man from Apex Steel. Then the 65 just goes through there as well. That's Ray Narkwitz. He's doing a tremendous job in a very similar car, but the big block of Joe Collegia, he is absolutely wheeling that car and had a ball in the wet yesterday. When he told me that, I was scratching my head going, I would not have thought that would have been a nice car to drive in the wet. Here comes James Calvert-Jones. He certainly acquitted himself very well in the wet, didn't he, Emma? A guy with a little bit of rally pedigree, as Alex was talking about.
Yeah, I actually said to Alex, what was James doing going through all the little lakes on the side of turn 2 and 3? And he said, Emma, he's a rally car driver.
Yes.
Means nothing to him.
Have a look at this. Joe Collegia just took second place momentarily there, the horsepower of the Corvette, but Alex Webster, the Porsche, as they do under brakes, he is getting up and over those ripple strips, wanting to get out after Joseph De Bartoli.
Alex is not in a generous mood today. He's going to hunt it down, I'm telling you.
Well, I tell you what, it's going to be about an 8-lap journey. Joseph De Bartoli has to run away and hide because the Corvette will start to suffer of brakes at the end of this. The Corvette streams on through. The Shelby GT350 comes alongside as well. Alex slots in behind Joe in the red Corvette. And the GT350 is forcing its way into third position there.
Looking
Alex,
for 3 wide.
Alex, as Emma said, is not feeling charitable and is not letting the number 8 have an inch of playtime.
And not one of those guys was online.
No, no.
My God, to get those 3 cars almost 3 wide through the back of Dandenong Road there offline, that could have been worse.
And I'm actually pretty sure that none of them had any awareness of where each other were either. They were just dealing with what was in their window.
Yeah, they just want to be first.
Yeah, I think that was pretty good driving, really. There was no touching, nothing going silly anywhere. And Emma's just pointing at the screen, looking at her Pantera coming down.
Wrong. I was actually looking at how James is not going to be counted out of this race at all. James Calvert-Jones in that gorgeous Porsche. He is hunting Alex like nothing else. That's the race within a race. Alex and James Calvert-Jones are going to be wanting to beat each other for sure. Then the Corvettes, or all of it at once.
Both of these Porsches have been set up absolutely magnificently. And at the moment, Ray Narkwitz is mixing it with them as far as his Corvette goes. And that's saying something. They've worked very hard for quite some time on that Corvette to make sure that it can go with the Porsches. And in fact, right now, they are driving away from the Porsches. This is dry weather. It's also a tailwind going up that hill. So that's just going to help the cubic inches available to these Corvettes. And of course, this Shelby GT350.
It is so nice to see a car that you don't expect to corner the way these Corvettes and the Shelby are cornering. It's beautiful to see them do that. It's beautiful to see them take it to these Porsches, because normally around the corners, either after the first straight or the second straight, the Porsches would have it all over them. But that straight line speed, and then these guys have obviously set up their cars beautifully.
Yeah.
They're shocking the Porsches.
I think, Gem, you just hit the nail on the head. It's 100%. All about shockers. They've been working very, very hard. The technology is way different in shock absorbers as what it was back in the day. And that's what's enabling these cars. And Joe is absolutely under brakes wrestling that car.
I'm going to tell him for next round, can you get some fluoro gloves? I want to see your hands, because he is battling that thing inside.
Working. Yeah. But it was interesting, Phil, yesterday. You spoke to Joe as well. How much fun he had in the Corvette, and he got a result.
Yeah, he was beaming. He'd had so much fun out there in the wet, so I can only imagine that he's probably just about broken his face with a smile out there now.
Well, in P2, he's come out of P4, so he's in an absolute podium position. That'll get him a trophy. Here's Tim Linus, and we'll just give you a bit of an update. Tom Walstab has gone through to position 8. Tim Linus has gone to 10. So these guys started out of 13 and 14. So they're pushing hard in the 928. In the 928s as well, so they've got a couple of Datsuns either side of Tim Linus, and then it is one of the other Corvettes as comes up the back straight. I think that is that the other Narkwitz car, Samuel Narkwitz. Yes, it is. That'll be Samuel, and he is just sitting outside the top 10.
We knew these guys were ready to race, and it was so unfortunate they got a safety car in race 2.
It was.
They are not disappointing in race 3 at all.
Oh, the Z straight lines that one, and the Corvette closes up on the back of it, Narkowitz, and not able to do anything there. The Z pulls away coming out of Dandenong.
John Del Colo there in the Datsun 240Z from South Australia, so that would have been a bit of a heart and mouth moment. You don't want to have to straight line that bit of track, although Sandown have provided for runoff so that you can do it, but it certainly gets your attention when you're in top gear and you tip it in at the top of Dandenong Road and you're looking at a wall and a highway and a sand trap, and you just ease the wheel off and get through here. Here comes Ross Jackson in the number 72 Pantera. And that car is currently sitting 7th on the road. And look who's circling around behind him, Tom Walstab. This could get interesting with these two.
Good. Yeah, Walstab closing right up on the back there, but the Pantera got a little bit more horsepower up that back straight.
And Hugh Harrison just on a watching brief off the back of this battle there as well. And the Alpha, he's certainly not going to be able to take it up to either of these cars with their cubic inches, but the Alfa Romeo will be certainly very handy once he tips it in at the top of the hill here. Tom Walstab pushed wide by one of his 911 buddies, and still ranging up onto the back of Ross in the number 3. Tom Walstab easing his way through the gearbox there. The V8 in front, the V8 behind Ross.
Yeah, just off screen, just before, now on screen, we've got a battle royale brewing between Collegia and Lawler. There's only a couple of tenths in it. This is going to be one to watch as well.
Not long left in this one, in fact, probably 3 more laps here. But Joe doesn't, the Corvette doesn't look to be wanting for anything. It is only 5 laps. Maybe at 10 laps it would be wanting for some brakes and some grip. But at the moment, Joe has got his concentration face on.
Absolutely. He's not showing any signs of pressure.
He actually doesn't. He comes to the track because it's fun.
Yeah.
and good on him, because that's the finest motivation in historic style racing.
Those little bumps that you can't see clearly on TV on this live cast on that back straight there. You can see Joe's car bouncing around on the back of them, and it still didn't really unsettle the car at all. He looks completely relaxed there, despite only having a couple of tenths between him and Terry Lawler.
Yeah. Matt, what about to the front of the race too as well at the moment? Car number 2, Bartolo, has just eased back to these guys. So this is 2 Corvettes of different generations that are at the front now, and only separated by half a second in the last lap. Joe Collegia, a 1:21.9.
Oh.
A 1:25.7.
He's going to show
Bartolo in front.
He's looking to try and have a look.
He's showing the nose.
Lots
No,
of
he's
motivation
decided
to
not
do so. Lots of motivation. Joe Collegia was 4 seconds faster than Joseph Di Bartolo on the last lap around. So we have genuinely got a race for 1, 2 and 3. All spots on the podium up for grabs now as Collegia and Lawler tagging on behind him, because he doesn't really have an answer for Joe. But these cars are now all in contention for a race win.
Yeah, well, Joe's in that unenviable position of hunting and defending. So he's in between the 2 guys, and that's very, very close. He's showing a nose there. Will he have a go?
You know, Joe Collegia for many years had John Bowers as driving coach. Do you think he cares about defending? It's all about attack now.
Attack.
Full respect to Bowie. He's probably watching this,
Absolutely.
but this is what he taught Joe. Go for the guy in front. Don't worry about what's happening behind.
Not a bad strategy to have, actually. You can get too distracted by what's in your rear view, and I wouldn't like to have that in my rear view, to be honest. It's quite a menacing look.
It is, isn't it? And Joe will have that big smile too, although he's got a full face helmet on. He'll be giggling away to himself in there, really, really enjoying this. Last lap board goes out. These two Corvettes have got to make it hang together. There's always a question mark over brakes for the Corvettes, but at a 8-lap journey, I would suggest the question mark gets removed away.
Yeah, I don't think Joe's been able to close that gap at all on that lap. So
I wonder if Joe Bertoli had a minor indiscretion that last lap ago, because 4.5 seconds in one lap is a big gap. Joe Collegia certainly didn't make any mistakes. It was the fastest lap of the race. Yeah. There's no doubt about that for Joe and the entire race. But that gap wasn't. That came back very rapidly, and Bertolo now he's driving away with it again. He's just gapped Joe Collegia by about half a second again on this last lap. But here we go.
Oh, aggressive line.
Yeah,
no, too far behind.
Joe keeps showing the front of the Corvette, but he's way too far behind.
Yeah,
that is another John Bowe tactic, though.
Yeah,
True. I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worry the opposition in front into making a mistake.
Yeah, distract them, make them think you're going to do a silly dive bomb, and no, it just throws them off and keeps them in their mirrors instead of on the road.
I tell you what, if you're going to choose someone to learn from, JB, he's right up there on your list of teachers, that's for sure. Car number 2 goes full length. There's the checkered flag to Joe Di Bartolo, and welcome to the podium to Apex Steel's Joe Collegia. What a great result there. Terry Lawler races to the line as well. He left no stone unturned, and look at the smoke coming out of the Shelby GT 350 after the line. That's not a healthy look, although, as Colin Chapman would say, you've just got to finish the race.
But hey, Darren, we've got a Porsche-free podium.
We do. Wow, that's a surprise. Absolutely. So Ray Narkwitz comes across the line, then the first Porsche is in position number 5. Whilst we're referencing John Bowe, his favourite car is a Porsche, so they came 5th out there as well. Jones, and then Ross. We're waiting for Ross Jackson in the Pantera. And that thumps across the line.
No.
Although John Bowe was driving a Cooper last weekend down at Baskerville, a Repco Brabham powered one.
A very diverse driver over numerous decades now. And
100%.
The Group S cars come to the line. So let's have a look. Tom Wallstap home in 8th spot. Tom started out to 13th. That is a massive move. Where did Tim Linus end up? He went forward and gone back again. Actually, he's gone back to 13th, and that's sad because that's where Tom started. But Tim started in 12th place there, so he's just gone back a spot. So Tom Wallstab's gone forward in the 928. And sadly, Tim Linus has gone back one spot. Hugh Harrison was always going to be out horse-powered. He started out of 8th and got home in 9th. So that's pretty good. Hung Do, another terrific run. Started out of 15th, gets inside the 10 in 10th position. And it is Samuel Narkowitz in the number 20 Corvette. Inside 11th there, Dalcolo, Tim Linus, Floyd, Farquharson, Johnson, Geest, and Chris Ralph coming home in 20th place. And that, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, race fans alike, is Group S for the 2025 33rd Sandown Historic.
All off to be tucked away to the next meeting.
Yes, well, we'll see them hopefully all and more at Phillip Island on March 13, 14 and 15 in 2026 for the Penrite 100 Classic.
Can't wait.
Cannot wait. That's going to be a ripper. Big shout out to Equity One, Penrite and Shannon's for their support right throughout this weekend. Cool Drive, Aussie Saws, and Pavd and Auto House, the car storage joint of choice in Moorabbin, the Mark Sports Club Car Club, running their track days right across the motorsporting landscape and doing a tremendous job of it as well. They really have upped that level. Of course, the VHRR have their Calder Come and Try Test and Tune Day at Calder Park Raceway, Saturday, December the 6th. The one-day meeting is a chance for club members who have indicated that the cost and time required to attend club's 3 main circuit events is difficult. It's an opportunity to enjoy a relaxed day of motorsport with fellow club members, family and friends. Check it all out at the office downstairs or jump on the VHRR website. We'll take a quick break. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Emma. We will have plenty of action coming up on track with Formula Fords in just a moment.